saying, hey, how you all going? It's Jai, that Aussie metal guy here with Crannk. And today I'm having a chat with Brad Cook, guitarist, singer, songwriter, who's brought out his solo EP, which is absolutely cracking, the rock blues powerhouse of an EP, Time to Fly, which came out July 31st. I've been enjoying the heck out of it, man, especially the last few days. It's a really, really cool EP. Congratulations and cheers for joining me.
No, thank you, mate. Thank you so much. Thanks for the support. I'm glad you're enjoying it.
It's a really, really cool EP. I got up early this morning and I got into it, and it's really cool. Every time I listen to it, I pick something different, and I'm like, man, I like that song. And then this morning, I'm like, over now, I really like this one, you know. So it mixes which one's my favorite off that EP. It's got a really good sound and vibe, and it's accentuated by your guitar playing, which is absolutely unreal, man. Can I ask about how and when you first got into playing guitar?
That's a good question. Look, it stems back to my childhood. Obviously, I grew up listening to a lot of the stuff that I was surrounded with. You know, what was on TV, what was being played in my household by my family and whatnot. So I guess when it comes down to it, I saw Jimi Hendrix live at Monterey, and that just changed everything for me. I just saw that and I was like, I want to do that. And then Jimmy Page, Song Remains the Same, that DVD or video at the time, that I was like, that's what I want to do. So I knew at that point I had to learn the guitar. So I went out, bought a guitar, didn't really know what I was buying, had no idea what I was doing, realised that I bought equipment that wasn't going to get me the sound I wanted, but it's just a work in progress all the time anyway, mate. So it was that Jimi Hendrix at Monterey and Jimmy Page, Song Remains the Same, Led Zeppelin were the two pivotal points in my life, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, how old were you when you first started though? Because like Jimi Hendrix, man, I remember first hearing Jimmy. I was a teenager, dude, and that blew me as well. You know, it blew me away as well because it's rock music and metal, man. It's one thing that they kind of stem together so well. I'm a mad metalhead, but I love rock and roll, dude. And especially all this new stuff coming through is like yourself, man. It's unreal watching the rock that's coming through now that has been heavily influenced by the greats of old.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that. I'm into hard rock and metal as well. So it all blends together. I'm just, just putting it all together there, and it's not really even trying to sound like anyone in particular. I'm just doing what I like now, which is, amalgamating all my influences there. So they're going to bleed in and drip into the music somewhere, aren't they? When you're a songwriter, going to be there. But it's the Hendrix thing to me was just like I could tell there was a spiritual side behind his music as well. And I connected with that from a young age, but obviously the more I listen to it, even like now, I've been listening to Jimi Hendrix for years, and I still listen to him weekly. It's like I still put on like Axis Boulder's Love or Band of Gypsies or something like that, just to get the hairs on the arms sort of standing up and stuff. It's just so it's still. So
it does, and Jimi Hendrix is one of those that you will always have that when you put that in that feel with him. It's just such a master, and it's just I have a lot to thank to Jimi Hendrix as well. And like you're saying, Led Zeppelin, those were a lot of bands that I was listening to in my home that my mum was playing that kind of influenced me as well, growing up into the music lover I am today, man. But how did that evolve into you singing as well? Because you're obviously guitarist first, Or
yeah, look, I mean, obviously, through the years, I've always been a guitarist in a band.
Yeah.
And, I started singing in little bits and projects and things like that. I developed a voice that, that I'm comfortable with working with what I do, and I'm not trying to be anyone else. And, I know my limitations as a singer. I'm a guitarist first, singer second, and I just try and make it all work in my songs. But I pretty much started singing pretty late, really, compared to, like, I started playing guitar when I was 17. So, that in that scenario, the singing came later. Yeah.
Yep.
It But, you know, putting it into my context of my music, I just got to a point where I was writing music for bands and always the guitarist in a band, and joined bands where I'd be playing their music and trying to influence them with my style or my music as well. And then I just found myself at a point in my life where I just started writing, and there was no project in mind. And I, you know, it was like a little bit of a release. I'd get in there, lock myself away, record, and before I knew it, I said, I'm going to sing on this one and see what it sounds like. And that just sort of worked. From that point, I was just like, I'm going to do this. But I have sung in other bands and things like that, other projects and whatnot, but never on, I guess, original music.
Original music. So when did these tracks are obviously something you've had in the works for a little while, eh? As you're saying, you're a guitarist, and you're a guitarist in a band, you can have some influence, but it's not the same as when you can go, oh, I've got total freedom and expression to do what I like. And there's always these body of songs, and I've talked to a few songwriters and singers that are the same, that have had songs that they can't bring out with the band they're with, that have to do a solo act or something to bring that out.
Yeah. Well, look, that's pretty much how this sort of all happened, really. I found myself obviously out of an original band for a while there, and I was writing for a particular project in mind, and the songs that weren't suiting that project, I kept putting them on ice, but I wouldn't forget them. Yeah. And I'd work on them because I've got a little home. This is my home studio here, and then I've got, and I'd just track them and then leave them. And then that other project I was writing for didn't really it didn't really take off the way I thought it might. So to keep focused on writing, I went back to the songs that I felt didn't fit for that. Yeah. And they were more true to how I am as a musician, I guess. So what resonated more with me was the stuff I was doing. So as a means to keep going, I just kept writing and recording and putting my own vocals down, and you know, that's sort of where it's come to this point now. So some of these songs are a couple of years old. Make It, the last solo single I released, is one of the last ones that I wrote for the EP, and I just wanted to write a cracker of a banger of a, you know, a fairly, you know, raunchy sort of riffy sort of song, and put it out there, just, you know, 3.5 minutes, 4 minutes of, you know, goodness, and throw it out there. So, but yeah, the music side of it, a lot of it stemmed from a few years ago, these songs, and then I've got more that didn't make it to the EP. Yeah. I'll probably dissect and work on again, you know, and try and improve. The reason they didn't make the EP is just because they didn't have they just didn't fit in with the songs I picked for the EP. That being said, you know, I pulled them to pieces a little bit and change the bits I don't like and make them work. I've also been, it's a bit of a difficult time, but you know, we're all going through this this coronavirus thing, so it can get difficult at times to be inspired to write as well. But it's just a matter of inspiration.
Well, how do you keep yourself motivated? Because you do all the recording, producing yourself there, and I think Matt, we'll talk about Matt Robbins. I think he done the mixes and mastering. I wouldn't mind talking about that as well. So how do you keep yourself motivated being at home, that you know, you're doing the recording, the producing yourself, you're getting all this together yourself? How do you keep yourself motivated with this as well, especially with everything that's going on?
Yeah, it's a challenge at times. You know, I'm pretty heavily into mindfulness, and I meditate. I do all sorts of things to keep myself as centered as possible. Some days I wake up and I'm just inspired to go kick ass, and then the next day it's like it's not happening. Yeah. Just bear with us 1 sec.
Yeah.
Charge is not working.
That's all good.
Yeah, so it's a difficult process sometimes to stay focused and motivated. Yeah.
Yep. So when you made this EP, can I talk about that a little bit? How long did it take you to make it? Because you would have been doing it at home in between everything else you got going on. And what was that process like, doing that yourself? And who we'll talk about the guest musicians after that as well, who you had on with you.
Yeah. Just one sec, sorry, mate. Someone's trying to call through.
It's always like.
Whenever it calls, mate, it's always when I'm busy. Sorry, we'll backtrack.
Yeah, talk about the recording and production process and what that was like for you.
The recording I was doing I was working full time at the time and gigging every weekend. I had projects coming in that were obviously, you know, requiring a lot of attention, learning songs, this and that. Plus, you know, things you go through in life, sometimes heartbreaks and things like that. So it was just a matter of whenever I felt the need to sit down, and it was usually late at night. I'd be sitting down writing and recording and putting it down. I just kept focused on writing for the song, not necessarily trying to be, you know, a guitar hero or anything like that, or stand out in any particular way. It was just right for the song.
Yep.
I kept reminding myself, you know, as I was in the writing process, you know, what would the Beatles do for a good song? They just focus on the song itself, not necessarily the ability of someone in particular or whatever. So that was the writing process, you know, was different for me. This is the first time I wrote in this particular way. I've recorded pretty much everything myself. So yeah.
So instruments, did you get any guest musicians on to join you with this, or was this all you?
It's all me. Yeah.
It's all me. So it's really good, man.
Thank you so much. Yeah. It's all me. You know, moving forward, I might collab and things like that. But again, I don't know whether I actually intended to release this stuff when I was recording it. It was just a project to keep me going. And then I got to a point where last year I realised I need to release this stuff. Yeah. You know?
It would have been a really cathartic experience as well, bringing out this material totally for yourself, working it and, you know, having this total control out of it. And it's a little more personal, these songs, when they come totally from you. And it's all, you know, that experience must have been really, really good, eh?
Oh, mate, it was definitely a cathartic experience when I listened back to it all, to be honest with you. A couple of songs there, because some of them are, I mean, they're personal in a sense where they're written about something. I mean, as a songwriter, you change words and things to suit the music to make it work, but some of the content's pretty heartfelt. So listening back, there was a couple of times where I nearly shed tears and things like that, just because I couldn't believe I'd actually done it, you know?
Yeah, and put it down on paper. Asking that, I've got to ask about Over Now. Can you tell me about that track specifically and what that one meant for you, dude? Because I enjoyed that one.
That was one of the heartfelt ones.
Yeah.
That you know, I think in life we go through, we meet people, we connect with certain people for certain reasons, and they come into our life for a reason, and there's a purpose behind it, and whether they stay or go or whatever it may be, it's all about growth.
Yeah.
But at the time I wrote that, I was pretty heartbroken. So it was a moment of, you know, that indecisiveness between two people, what's happening, you know. I guess the lyrical content, is it over now? Yeah, it was but when you listen to it, it's like bookending it. You know, it's a good thing to do for, I guess, anyone that goes through things. You journal stuff, people that journal, write things down. It's all about helping you process it and move forward, and that's what that song is basically. That was about processing, moving forward from a situation that was, you know, in a sense, pretty toxic and pretty hurtful and things. So as a songwriter, you've got that ability to put them into a song and then just bookend it. It feels great. Yeah.
No, it's a nice track. They're all amazing tracks. I just like that one, man. This morning it must have been like, this is my third day of a cold and too much vitamin C and cough medicine, but this morning it was like, that one really connected with me. The rock scene, man, is unreal at the moment. I want to talk about support, because I always bring this up. There's some amazing rock acts coming through. They've got some great music coming through, like your EP, Time to Fly, which is a really great EP, and I thoroughly recommend people getting along. Can I talk about support and where the best place is people can get along and support you going forward with this, man?
Look, obviously the socials, you know, we're trying to, as musicians, the best way to stay in connection with our our micro niche, our fans, is through our social medias.
Yep.
Especially now more so than ever, we can't really get out and perform. We can't get out and gig. So
Yeah.
I've done a few Facebook lives. They're more not necessarily about performing. Like, it's not for me, more about having a bit of a chat, reading some comments off the screen, talking about a song in particular, and the process of writing it, recording it, and stuff like that. Just helps keep that interaction with the people that actually care about what you're doing.
I've watched a couple of them.
Yeah, so it's hard because as a musician, this is what we're born to do. We're born to go play, perform, write songs, present them in a sense where, it's that connection that we get that from people. So sitting in a stale room without anyone but a few comments flicking up on a screen, I'm really, really grateful that people do that, and I love that. But it's not the same as connecting with people in a live audience.
It definitely is not, and it's support. Like that's
seeing
as you're saying that though, it's as you're saying that, I want to chuck in there Bandcamp. I think it's great to see these live streams and everyone, but I'm really hoping that generates to support as well, because we've just talked here prior about the endless hours and months and how long you've been working on this. And you're a musician, you bring out art from the heart. It's going to come out no matter what. You're going to bring this music out, but it's also good for people to get along and support as well and buy the album. Like, jump over to Bandcamp or whatever, listen to it on Spotify, and you like and follow on all your media, your social media. Is always great to connect with the fans and for people to go, hey, how you going, Brad? Great EP. That's always good, but it's always good for people to support as well, because that also goes, hey, man, people are buying my EPs. They're really enjoying it. They're not just listening to it on Spotify, because you've seen the recent posts. Spotify does what they can, but they do not support the artists, and it's about keeping this scene strong and not just playing the old AC/DC, listening to the rock that is coming through. It blows me away. Like, I've started out doing this for heavy metal, but the rock I've been getting from Australia, it just is unreal. I can't ignore that, and I have to kind of get behind acts like yourself and go, hey man, get along to this scene. Look, Australia was great. We had some great rock bands 20 years ago, and look, they're great to go back and crank, but don't forget, we have artists like yourself that are struggling so hard, especially in the Melbourne scene. Like, I'm going to try and connect with as much musos in Melbourne as I can, just to connect and go, hey, how you going? You're not alone. Let's talk about things and because it is hard, man.
It's really positive that you're doing that, and I can't stress it enough how important it is for people that actually like an artist. I'm not talking just about myself, but if you really, really like an artist and you want to support them, buy their merch, follow them, share their content. Don't just like and comment on it. Like, share their stuff so it spreads further. Because the algorithms on all socials, including Facebook and all that, they all work in that way that if it's shared, the content spreads a lot more viral. So Spotify playlist, adding people's songs to playlists and things like that. Artists don't want to come across like they're begging for people to do it. We just want fans to do that because
you want your music to be heard and support it.
And it just continues. Like, we get the motivation and drive to keep doing what we do and doing what we do, what we're born to do, I guess. It's a different era for music these days. And it's completely something we're not used to at the moment with this virus and not being able to go out and support ourselves either. So, it's really imperative, and I'm glad you brought it up, for people that if you like an artist, you have to support them in every way, shape or form that you can do that on all their socials. If there's something that you really dig that they've put on their social, share it. Don't just put a like on it anymore, because that's great, and it's always I'm always grateful when people comment and like on my stuff, but sharing is so much more important. That's the key.
And get more ears around your music, because you don't want this this great body of work that you're working on, just to kind of sit over on the shelves collecting dust. You want ears around it, and especially this EP, Time to Fly. It's a cool EP, and I'm loving the state of the rock scene in Australia. I had a chat to Lisa Perry from Hells, and I've seen what Gary Beers is like with Ash and Moon, and then there's just so many amazing rock bands coming through at the moment that people should be checking out, not just sitting back with, as I was saying, the Cold Chisel CD from 20 years ago. Jimmy's fine. Jimmy's going to be fine. And, you know, you watch his streams or whatever, but when you're going to throw your support and your money, throw your support about these bands in Australia here that really need it. The up-and-coming scene, the guys that are just so great. And you're saying playing live is so much better than playing a live stream, because hence, like, it's great getting the live stream and connecting, but when artists like yourself play live, because you sit in this scene, this underappreciated scene that needs to be more appreciated, especially here in Australia, you know, when you play a live show, you're connecting with your audience. So they come to a live show, they're usually going to go over and buy a shirt, CD, and you get to connect with them that way. And when people, especially in Melbourne at the moment, the way things are going with no live music, it's really hard for artists to connect. So they really rely on support from people getting along and supporting the bands. It's insane.
It's you know, I can't hammer it home any better than you just did.
Neither can I. Can I talk about mixing and mastering? I want to chat about Matt Robbins. You got him on board to mix and master in this. I'm from Cicada Stone. I actually had a chat to Matt a little while ago, and then I seen your name kind of pop up, and that's how I kind of got onto your EP. Then I got one from an email from a PR, and I'm like, the stars have lined up. I've got to have a chat to Brad. So can you tell me a little bit about Matt mixing and mastering this EP for you?
Yeah, sure. I've known Matt for a period of time, a long period of time, back when I was in another band, and we recorded at his studio. I made a connection with him then. And, you know, through the years, he's always reached out to me and just caught up, and we've caught up numerous times. And, you know, I told him what I was up to, and he's like, yeah, man, bring it in and have a listen. And, you know, next thing I know, I was passing him over files, and he was sending stuff back to me. And this is during the first lockdown we sort of had just prior to that. And then obviously I was sending him files, and he was mixing them, sending them back, and he just got a great ear for what I wanted. He knew, I just explained to him, you know, the sort of vibe I wanted mix wise. And, you know, the first mix he sent back of my first single, The Planet of Love, he pretty much nailed it there was only a few little changes we made, and that was just me being a perfectionist saying, I want it to do this. And then, you know, he slapped me around a few times saying, you know, just get out of demo mode, you know, and this and that. But, you know, he's brilliant. He's like a wizard, mate. You know, and I can't recommend him anymore to, you know, anyone that wants to go, you know, record or mix or master. He's your man.
Yep. And I'm going to ask, since you're a guitarist, what guitars were you using for the EP, man?
Pretty much used 3 guitars. I've got like a 79 Fender Stratocaster, and my main 2 Les Pauls I use 1960 reissues, but they're pretty heavily on the whole entire EP. The one Les Paul in particular, it just seemed to, you know, be it suited every sort of vibe that I was going for. So I was like, yep, okay. Sometimes if it's not broken, you don't try and fix it, you know, you just keep with it. But yeah, I'm a Les Paul freak. I love Les Pauls. So
I love it, man. I love all aspects of this EP. It is really, really, I've said it a whole heap of times now. It's a cracking EP, and I thoroughly recommend everyone getting along and checking you out, checking this EP, and throwing some real support about the great music we have coming through Australia, especially musicians like yourself that are doing it tough. Brad, we're going to sign out, mate. But before I do, last words, shout outs, or thank yous from you.
Look, I just want to say to everyone, you know, thank you for you know, checking out my EP, and like, thank you to yourself as well for this, and you know, just keep supporting live music and keep supporting independent musicians. You know, they're the ones that are doing it the toughest at the moment. So you know, like myself and other artists that I could rattle off like 100 names right now, but I won't. But just whoever you actually admire and get into, and you love their music, support them, show them the love.
That's it, Brad. Absolute legend. Thank you very, very much for your time. Everyone, check out the Time to Fly EP. Brad Cook. Stay safe, and I'll look forward to another chat down the future. I look forward to everything you get bringing out in the future, mate. Thank you very, very much. Cheers, mate.
Thanks so much.
Cool.
See
Cheers,
you,
dude.
mate.